So, thinking about checking out Onyx Storm, the third book in Rebecca Yaros's Empyrean series.
Yeah, it's getting a lot of buzz.
It's a #1 New York Times bestseller.
And over 116,000 ratings just on Amazon.
And Michael B. Jordan is adapting it for TV. Hello, and welcome to Book Peer, the podcast dedicated to reviewing the latest books. I'm Paul.
And I'm Alice. In each episode, we'll be discussing newly published books across various genres, offering insightful critiques and recommendations.
Back to reading.
Lots of people are interested in it, for sure.
But we're going to take a look at what readers are saying to see if it's worth the hype.
What's really interesting is that most of the reviews are overwhelmingly positive.
Oh, okay. So people are really into it. But, everyone always uses the same words like gripping or emotional roller coaster.
Right.
But what are they actually saying that makes it sound so good?
Well, if you like books that really make you feel things,
Yeah.
this one seems to really do that.
Oh, okay.
Readers are pointing out specific plot points that really hit hard, like betrayals that you don't see coming and alliances that you don't expect, shifting the power dynamics.
Interesting.
There's even a character death that seems to have left people in tears.
Oh, wow. A character death in book 3 that is that impactful. That suggests a really strong connection with the characters.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't cry over characters you don't care about.
And that's something that comes up a lot in these reviews, how much the main character, Violet, has grown since Fourth Wing.
Oh, interesting. So how has she changed?
Do you remember how she was in the beginning?
Yeah, unsure of herself.
Yeah, totally thrown into this world that she didn't choose.
Right.
Now people are describing her as a leader, someone who takes charge and makes hard decisions and has a level of confidence that we haven't seen from her before.
It sounds like Yaros doesn't just hand her characters power. They have to work for it.
Yeah, you're right. It's not a sudden change for Violet. It's something she has to go through.
Yeah.
Readers are saying she faces some brutal choices, heartbreaking situations.
Oh, wow.
She has to face her vulnerabilities.
And make sacrifices.
Exactly.
Well, that makes your journey more relatable, I think.
Yeah.
Because, who hasn't felt overwhelmed and had to step up in ways they didn't expect?
And it's not just Violet. Even Zaven, who always seems invincible.
Right.
He shows a more vulnerable side in this book.
Interesting. So it's not just Violet who's going through it.
It makes him more human, even while the stakes are getting higher.
Well, speaking of high stakes, I got to ask about the ending. Everyone is saying it's unhinged. What did Yaros do?
It seems like she knows how to leave people wanting more.
Okay.
It's not just a cliffhanger for the sake of it. There are these huge twists, particularly about the world's history and the magic system.
Wait, so major reveals about the magic system?
Yeah.
Now that's interesting. The first 2 books left us with so many unanswered questions about, the Venin and their connection to the dragons.
Yeah, remember that theory we had about their origins?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say Onyx Storm confirms it and changes how we understand the world of Empyrean.
Wow.
Some reviewers even said they had to stop reading and just process what they read.
Oh, wow. Okay, now I am officially hooked.
Yeah.
But before I get totally carried away, there's one thing I want to bring up. A bunch of the reviews mention problems with the physical book itself.
Oh, yeah.
Like warped covers, pages damaged, stuff like that.
It does seem like there might have been some quality control issues with this printing.
So if someone's a stickler for a perfect hardcover, they might want to wait.
Yeah.
Or check out the ebook or audiobook versions.
Exactly.
It's a shame because the story sounds incredible, especially if you're already a fan of the series.
And even if you're new to the series, if you like epic fantasy, intricate world building, characters you can really connect with, this could be a good one to start with.
Okay.
But if you're looking for something quick and easy, this might not be it.
Yeah. Okay. But some reviewers mentioned the pacing being a bit slow, especially in the beginning.
Yeah, a few people did say they found the first part a bit slow.
So if you need constant action to stay engaged, the beginning might feel a bit drawn out.
That's true. But most readers found the pacing to be perfect. They liked that Yaros took her time to really immerse them in the world and build up to the big moments that happen later. And honestly, a slower pace isn't always bad, especially if you like to really get to know the characters and the world.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's something to be said for a book that really lets you get lost in it. But let's talk more about the world building in Onyx Storm.
Yeah.
I know we touched on the magic system, but what else are readers saying about the world Yaros has created?
So it's not just the magic system that's expanded, the world itself is bigger. We're finally seeing new places beyond the familiar settings of the first two books.
Oh, I love it when a series expands its world. New places, new people, what's not to be excited about?
And it's not just about adding something new for the sake of it. These new locations have their own distinct cultures and traditions, even different kinds of magic.
Oh, wow.
It adds a whole new level of complexity to the world.
And they're not just there as background, are they?
No, they're really important to the plot. They actually play a big role in Violet's journey.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and because of these new cultures, we start to see Violet's own perspective changing.
Huh. It makes you wonder if this is setting the stage for even bigger changes in the next books. Maybe a shift in power dynamics across the whole Empyrean world.
That's definitely a possibility. You can see how Yaros is thinking long-term. She's not afraid to shake things up and introduce new things that could have major implications down the line.
I love how looking at reader reviews can be like getting a glimpse into the author's mind and speculating about where the series could go. But we can't forget about the characters we already know and love. What are people saying about the supporting cast in Onyx Storm? Do they get to shine a little bit?
Oh, they totally do. One of the things readers are loving is how Yaros gives the supporting characters more depth and agency.
I always love it when a series remembers that the world doesn't just revolve around the main characters.
Exactly.
What kind of development are we seeing with the supporting cast?
Well, for starters, they're not just there to help Violet and again. They have their own motivations, relationships, and problems. We see them making tough choices, dealing with their fears, and even making new alliances that could have big impacts on the story.
It sounds like a real ensemble cast, where everyone has an important part in the story.
Exactly. It's like Yaros has created a tapestry of characters, and they're all connected and influence each other's journeys in significant ways.
It makes the world feel so much richer and more believable.
Yeah.
This makes me think about our earlier conversation about the book's pacing. Maybe that slower start is partly because Yaros is giving these secondary characters the space they need to grow and develop.
That's a great point. Instead of rushing through the story, she takes the time to build those character arcs and relationships, and it pays off in the end in terms of how much it impacts the reader.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Speaking of impact, let's talk about the romance. This series has a lot of fans who are invested in the relationship between Violet and Xaden.
Right.
Does Onyx Storm deliver on that front?
From what I'm seeing, it definitely does. Readers are calling the romance intense, passionate, and even steamy.
Oh, okay. So things are heating up.
Let's just say things get pretty hot between them. But it's not just about the physical attraction.
Their relationship has always been deeper than that. There's a real connection and respect between them, even with all the danger they face.
Exactly. And that connection becomes even stronger in Onyx Storm. They face some serious challenges together, which really tests their relationship and forces them to face some hard truths about themselves and each other.
It sounds like Yaros isn't holding back on putting their relationship through the ringer.
Nope.
Do you think they'll make it through all these trials?
That's the question everyone is asking, and readers are divided. Some are sure that love will conquer all, while others are getting ready for heartbreak. Yaros is keeping us in suspense, which is what a good romance author does.
Oh, the suspense. I love how these reader discussions were like a big book club where we analyze every detail and try to figure out what's going to happen next.
Yeah, and with a series as intricate as Empyrean, there's always something new to discover and talk about. We were talking about the things that make Onyx Storm unique, and there's something that's been on my mind that seems to be dividing readers.
Oh, really? What's that?
The wing system and how it plays out for Violet in this book.
Yeah, the wings.
Yeah.
Such a fundamental part of the series.
Right.
For anyone new to the Empyrean series, each wing represents a different combat specialty.
Uh-huh.
It basically determines your role in the war against the Venom.
Right.
But it sounds like Onyx Storm might be changing things up a bit.
Yeah. Fans have really strong opinions about whether Violet should stick with her assigned wing or not.
Oh, interesting.
And this book really throws a wrench in the works.
Okay, hold on. Without spoilers, what's making people think Violet might be switching wings?
Well, let's just say she runs into situations where her current wing isn't the most effective, and she has to get creative.
Yeah.
Rely on skills outside of her training.
So she has to kind of think outside the box.
Exactly, and it's making some readers wonder if her true potential lies somewhere else.
Okay, getting chills.
Yeah.
That goes back to what we were saying about Violet's growth as a leader.
Right.
It's not just about giving orders, it's about adapting.
Right.
And maybe even challenging the whole system.
Their readers are picking up on that.
Yeah.
Some are all for it, cheering Violet on as she breaks the mold. Others are a little more worried about what it means for the wing system as a whole.
I feel like Yaros is really pushing us to think, to ask ourselves if traditions should always be followed, especially when it comes to war and survival.
It's a big question.
Yeah, I love that she's not afraid to tackle those complex themes.
Me too.
Okay, but let's switch gears for a second.
Okay.
We've talked magic system, but dragons are just as important in this series.
Definitely.
What's new in the dragon department?
That's where Onyx Storm really takes off.
Ha.
Literally.
Uh-huh.
Yaros expands our understanding of dragon lore in a big way.
Oh, cool.
We're not just seeing the same old dragons. She introduces new species with unique abilities and personality.
Now that's what I call world building.
So, yeah, we're really enjoying this one. And if you're thinking, hey, I'd like to check that out, we've got you covered. Link in the description.
I love new fantasy creatures.
Yeah.
Are these new dragon species connected to the existing lore, or are they totally separate?
That's the clever part.
Okay.
She weaves them into the mythology we already know.
Oh, wow.
Giving us clues about the history of dragons in this world.
So it's not just about adding cool creatures, it's about deepening the mythology.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it all connects back to that central question.
Yeah.
The Venin and their connection to dragons.
Right.
The new species shed light on this connection.
Right.
And I gotta say, some of the reader theories are pretty amazing.
I bet. New dragons, deeper lore, a magic system that's evolving.
It's a lot.
It really does sound like a turning point in the series.
It's building towards something big.
Yeah.
And that's clear in the pacing, too.
Oh.
Remember how some readers thought the beginning was slow?
Yeah?
It looks like things really ramp up in the second half.
So it's a classic slow burn that turns into an action-packed adventure.
Exactly. And the action scenes are getting great reviews.
What are people saying?
Readers are describing them as intense, cinematic, full of heart-stopping moments.
I'm picturing these epic dragon battles.
Yeah.
But it's not just about the spectacle, though, right?
No, not at all.
Yaros always weaves in character development and emotions into the action.
She never loses sight of the human element, even in those big, fiery confrontations.
Right.
The action scenes aren't just there to be exciting.
Yeah.
They push the characters to their limits, force them to make tough choices.
It reveals who they really are.
Exactly.
I love it when authors use action to do more than just provide thrills.
Me too.
It adds so much more depth.
It does.
So Onyx Storm sounds like it's really hitting the mark for readers who want both action and emotional depth.
Yeah, seems like it.
And it's not just Violet and Xaden.
Right.
Readers are saying that the supporting characters also get their chance to shine in the action scenes. What are they doing?
We see them stepping up, showing off their skills, proving their loyalty.
It's like that tapestry you mentioned before.
Uh-huh.
Every thread adds to the beauty and complexity.
I like that.
But speaking of beauty, one thing that everyone seems to agree on is the writing.
Oh yeah, readers are loving the writing.
What are they saying specifically?
They're describing the writing as lyrical, evocative, visceral.
Yeah.
They talk about feeling transported to the world of Empyrean.
It sounds like Yaros is really good at painting a picture for the reader.
Exactly. She doesn't just tell you what's happening.
Yeah.
She makes you feel it, and that's what makes her writing so special.
It sounds like readers are really connecting with the story on an emotional level.
Yeah, they're not just reading the words. They're living the story, feeling what the characters feel.
I can see why they're calling it an emotional roller coaster.
And it sounds like Yaros doesn't shy away from the darker parts of human nature either.
What do you mean?
There are moments of betrayal, heartbreak, even cruelty. It adds complexity and makes the story feel more real.
It makes the character struggles feel more meaningful, too.
Definitely, but let's not forget about the romance.
Oh.
It's a big reason why people love this series.
It is. Okay, let's talk about it. What are readers saying? Are Violet and Xaden still in that will-they-won't-they phase, or has their relationship moved forward? So are they officially a couple now, or are they still kind of dancing around their feelings?
Let's just say the slow burn is over.
Okay, so they're together.
Readers are using words like electric and intense.
All right, that's what I like to hear. But this is fantasy romance, so I'm guessing it's not all smooth sailing.
You know Yaros better than that.
Uh-huh, right.
It's a passionate, tumultuous kind of romance. There's push and pull, external conflicts and internal struggles, creating obstacles for them.
Well, it wouldn't be very realistic if it was easy. especially when you're trying to save the world and fight off monsters at the same time.
Exactly. And the pressure they face in this book really tests their bond. They have to make difficult choices, sometimes with their priorities clashing, and you can feel that tension in the story.
Sounds like there's going to be some angst. Do they come out stronger in the end? Or does the cliffhanger leave their future totally uncertain?
That's the big question. Readers are debating it like crazy.
What are they saying?
Some are convinced that love will win, while others are preparing for heartbreak. Yaros is keeping us guessing, which is a sign of a good romance author.
Oh, the suspense. It's like we're all part of this giant book club trying to figure out what's going to happen next.
And with a series as layered and complex as Empyrean, there's always something new to unpack.
Speaking of new things, we haven't really touched on the political intrigue that's always been there in the background.
Right.
Does Onyx Storm dig deeper into that aspect?
Oh, it definitely does. Yaros turns up the heat on the political tension.
Oh, interesting. How so?
We see new alliances forming, old rivalries resurfacing, and characters having to make choices that could change everything for the whole Empyrean.
It makes sense with all the revelations about the dragons and magic. I bet that new information throws everything off balance.
It's like she throws a grenade into the political landscape. Everyone is scrambling to adjust.
Ooh, I'm intrigued.
We see characters questioning their loyalties, taking risks, and some even resorting to desperate measures to protect themselves.
Sounds intense. Almost like a Game of Thrones.
And what's great is that it all feels very believable. The political maneuvering is woven into the plot and the characters' motivations, so it doesn't feel forced at all.
It's all part of that impressive world building, right?
Yeah.
Everything fits together so seamlessly to create this really immersive experience.
And with the TV show in development, imagine how those political scenes will play out on screen.
Oh, the drama. I can't wait.
The costumes, the sets, the tension. It has the potential to be really something special.
But even without the visuals, Yaros does an incredible job with her writing.
Oh, definitely.
Readers are raving about how she describes everything and really captures the characters so well.
She's a master at bringing characters to life. Even characters who seem like simple villains at first turn out to have their own complicated backstories and motivations.
It seems like Yaros doesn't like to keep things simple. She challenges us to question our assumptions about the characters and what they do.
Absolutely. She's not afraid to show us that people aren't always good or bad, and that makes the story more realistic.
Right, the characters are flawed, they make mistakes, but that's what makes them human and relatable.
Exactly. And that's why the story is so engaging, even with all the fantasy elements.
So we've covered the plot, the characters, the romance, the political drama, world building, even the writing style. Is there anything else that's got readers talking?
One thing that keeps coming up is just how emotional this book is.
People are really feeling it.
They're talking about laughing, crying, being shocked, even getting frustrated and throwing the book down.
Uh-huh. Wow, sounds like Yaros knows how to keep readers on their toes. But that's what we want from a good book.
To feel something, to be transported to another world and live through it with the characters.
Exactly. And Onyx Storm delivers on that. It's the kind of book that stays with you, even after you finish reading.
It makes you think about the characters, the themes, everything.
So, for anyone who's still on the fence about reading Onyx Storm, I think the message is clear. Go for it. You're in for a wild ride.
Just be ready for some surprises, some emotional moments, and maybe some heartbreak.
And keep some tissues handy for those character deaths.
Always a good idea. But seriously, if you love fantasy, romance, and stories that make you think and feel, you should definitely check out Onyx Storm.
Couldn't agree more. We hope you enjoyed our chat about today's read. If you did, please like this video and subscribe to Book Peer so you don't miss any of our future episodes. We love hearing from you, so tell us in the comments what you're reading or what you'd like us to discuss next.